Welcome back to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, we're gonna talk a little football, but we're also gonna talk a little fatherhood since Father's Day is right around the corner. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that with Mr. James Bush. We're gonna get into that, but like every episode, how I started off is with the Get It Off Your Chest segment. Now, it could be anything. It could talk about football, basketball, just something that may grind my gears. But on this episode, we're going to keep it football. And we're going to keep it AFC South. And we're going to talk about a particular gentleman that is making the news right now. And he's definitely making a lot of news right now. That would be Isaiah Rodgers. Now, for those that aren't familiar, he is a cornerback that plays for the Indianapolis Colts. And he was going into the last year of his deal. And he was probably focused on trying to make the best of his last year, to get another contract. Well, that might be on delay after the news that dropped. Well, the first news that dropped is that the NFL was investigating a Colts player for gambling, and it wasn't a star, as they said. Then the news dropped that it was Isaiah Rodgers. And what happened is this. It's saying basically that he was gambling through an associate. Basically, is what kind of the whole story is, and that he was kind of doing these things through his actual, through an associate, and he's actually in the locker room doing some of these things, and that he actually gambled on his own team. So, all those things, you're not supposed to gamble on the NFL anyway. That's per the NFL rules. And then, gambling on your own team too, and then from what I was being reported, upwards of maybe 100 bets that he placed in, just maybe $35, $45, but some maybe reaching 3 or maybe 4 figures. I'm not for sure on the 4 figures, but I'm definitely sure on the 3 figures. There's a lot of betting going on. And, now I know plenty will say that it's not a big deal. Hey, man, people bet all the time. They bet on games. They do this, they do that. And I totally understand. And I totally understand that, hey, if you want to bet, that's your own thing. Do what you want to do. But you also got to understand if your job has a rule in place that you might want to actually follow the rules. Or this type of stuff can happen. Ask Calvin Ridley. He placed one bet, got spent for a year. And you got people that from the Detroit Lions that some are suspended for it, will more than likely be suspended for a year. Some 6 games. So is it really worth betting in the locker room and betting on the NFL? And is it really worth all that to lose your paycheck for a year and 6 games? I guess Isaiah Rodgers is the one that's going to answer that now. James, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I mean, to be honest with you, this is in a long line of people in sports betting. I mean, the earliest I remember about it, I don't know if I'm dating myself, is Pete Rose. And so, they had the things going on with Pete Rose and, how he was ostracized from baseball for a long period of time because of what he had done. And then the next thing I vividly remember was the night, it was a Saturday night, it was in September, when Bernard Hopkins fought Felix Tito Trinidad. And it was one of those fights where basically everybody was picking Felix Tito Trinidad, man, to whip up on B-Hop. B-Hop went, got a purse. I mean, as the story goes, he was able to go and get an endorsement deal, and he took the endorsement deal and he put it all on himself. He bet all on himself. And that was the boxing. And he actually won the thing too. Then you go further and further down the line with different athletes. Which I like what you said though. And you said something that if your occupation has strict stipulations about what you're not supposed to do, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they are the gatekeepers. They are the people that hold the checks. So, I mean, he's in a situation, and unfortunately, there's probably going to be some. I mean, if they've gotten down to this far in their investigation, they've been more than likely watching for a while, and they got some stuff, man, they can hang on him. And it's unfortunate, man, because the brother has sacrificed a lot to get to the place he's in the league right now, and here he is.
Yeah, definitely. From the University of Massachusetts, by the way. So he definitely fought against the odds to make professional level from the University of Massachusetts, because a lot of people probably don't even know them on a national level, let alone, let alone probably who their coach is, who the
Right.
mascot is, anything. But here he goes, making it to the NFL, and now this happens. But unfortunately, hey, there are rules there, and
Right.
he didn't follow them. But it is, he's gonna have to deal with those things going forward. Unfortunately. And
Well,
maybe hold on, I got another thing on it too.
uh-oh.
He actually was at a position of need for the Colts too, because the Colts really don't have a ton of cornerbacks right now. So he probably could have made the most of this year and got an extension, everything. But here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing because you're starting to hear more about this. Before, we heard more about substance use or PEDs within the locker room, and whatnot. Now, gambling seems to be the bigger issue that's going on. And guys, it's like I was just saying to you when I was talking to you in the green room. I mean, they only have a window of time to maximize the amount of money that they're going to make. Now, the things that and the methods that they do to try to maximize that, some of them are sketchy, some of them is legit. I don't know. But the fact is that I believe we're going to see more of this based on where we are at in our society right now, as far as when it comes to monitor, and then also to the mentalities of a lot of these young men who come into the league and have all this money thrown at them, and the financial literacy sometimes is not there.
Yes, you can say that again, say that twice, say it 3, 4, 5 times. Definitely, the financial literacy is not there, and it is. Unfortunately, the NFL can try in terms of talking to them and teaching and things like that, but unfortunately, you have to open up your ears and listen as well.
There's some stuff, man, I can't share on air, man. But when we get to the green room and get off, man, there's
boy,
yeah, okay.
Oh boy, but yeah, we're gonna get to those stories, of course, off air. But but yeah, we're going to get to the real reason I brought you on the show. Of course, we're going to talk a little football and a little fatherhood. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
Yes, a word from our sponsor at Garrett Logistics. But hey, we got to get back to the show. All right. And of course, up first, I want to talk about fatherhood. I am a father of a 9-year-old little girl. Love my baby. Yes, love my baby. But, of course, fatherhood, it has some effects on you. Now, they're positive. Some people, a lot of positive. Some unfortunately negative effects. But we're going to keep it positive over here and, try to keep it on the positive aspect as well. But can you kind of, and we're going to dive into that with you, James. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of tell me about fatherhood, man, and what it kind of means to you?
Well, a little bit of my background. I grew up in a single parent household. My mom, it was her from the Eastern Shore of Maryland and from VA. And so my mom, I grew up around a lot of women, but I had a lot of uncles as well, too. I mean, it was about 8 of them all together. And so it was a big family. It was male oriented. Those were my models that were in front of me. And so a lot of the stuff that I saw happen between my uncles, I either tried to fill in the blanks because I didn't have a male in the household giving me that specific direction. And I think sometimes with fatherhood, that's what it commands, is that we are to help our seeds, our offspring, with those blanks of life, where they come and they have questions, where they don't have answers, where it doesn't make sense, when life really isn't fair. And as a youngster, you don't know that, but then as older you get, you're like, yeah, it really ain't, because we can't understand that. Fatherhood is that individual who helps guide them through that process. But also I want to say is that it's one of those things as being a father, of knowing that there is somebody that you're responsible for. It's one thing to do something to yourself. It's one thing to neglect yourself. You neglect your eating, you neglect, proper sleep habits, neglect going to work on time or anything like that. You don't care because it's just you. You're like, look, I'm all right, I'm good, I'm with this. But what does that mean when you have your seed that is affected by your actions? And you have to look at that young individual. Not only are you hungry, they're hungry as well too. Not only are you misinformed about that, they're falling behind in school activities and health wise or whatnot. They are having their shots and checkups and everything along those lines. It's something to say that when there's somebody that you're responsible for, and that's where I think that we're getting more into the crux of these days, is that guys stepping up, being present. It's funny because African-American males have this stigma that we don't really stick around for our children, or that we're like deadbeats or anything along those lines. However, statistics shows that, man, African-American males are more present. They're more in tune with their children, even if they are in a separated household. So those things show me that there are individuals out there that are modeling and are representing that thing we call fatherhood.
Definitely. Amen to that. Now, I got to ask you personally.
Okay.
Now, can you give kids ages, anything like that? You want to do any of that?
Oh yeah, that's right. I got two kids, man. My son, he's 15, he'll be 16 in August. My daughter is 11, she'll be 12 in February. Almost done. Yes, sir.
I gotta ask, what was when you found out that you were going to be a father, what was the immediate feeling that you first felt?
Man, I was like, oh, that's what's up. I did. I'm gonna tell you, Mike, it didn't really hit me until I was in the delivery room, and it was the morning of my son coming, and I was like, he's gonna be born. He's not getting back in that vaginal cavity. It's like, he's here. I'm going to be responsible for him from here on out. I'm officially a dad. I have to get some things together in my life. I had to get some things in order in my life. It's like, he's here. That's when it really hit me. Before, you my ex-wife, you seen her getting bigger, and and hearing the baby kicking and everything. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. But when it actually arrived, that's the thing, man. It's like, man, this is a whole nother ball game.
I hear you there. Now, from that feeling at that time to that feeling to now, how's your feelings on fatherhood and just your growth kind of changed over time?
Well, what I'll say is that you start to understand a lot of what your parents went through. You start to understand a lot of your parents went through. Being a mental health clinician, I can give you all the theory on adolescent child rearing, child development, and all other kind of little stuff. But at the same time, when you got that person in front of you, all that stuff sometimes goes out the window. And it says you're dealing with them based on who they are. And sometimes the craziest phenomenon is that when you start to see some of the things that you made mistakes with in your earlier life, they're doing the same thing. And it's like, wow, okay. I get where you're coming from. I understand that. I know why you feel that way. So I mean, it's just one of those things that you start to begin to, I guess, be more. It's like with older people, they are more patient. They're more reserved. It's like they don't get so extra or too edgy about it because it's like, it's life. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be okay. We've seen this episode on television before. So, and that's the way I equate to with fatherhood or whatnot, and just raising children. Now it's like things are gonna work out, and it's just don't get too antsy about it.
Got you. Now, we are going to talk about another F. We talked about fatherhood.
Okay.
But we got to talk about football. This is a football show.
Okay.
And we got to talk about your team.
Oh, boy.
The Tennessee Titans. Now, of course, last year it started out well, and then it didn't end quite as well as Titans fans would hope. 7-game losing streak, culminating with a loss to Jacksonville for the right to go to the playoffs and win the AFC South. Now, this offseason, it wasn't necessarily the most exciting offseason, but I will say that, a lot of the pieces that they did add did fit what they can do. Like, for me, the David Long Jr. Loss, you actually bring in Oz from out in San Francisco. He actually does a lot of the same things, if not probably better, and stays healthier. The offensive line additions, things like that. You didn't hit up the wide receiver room, which a lot of people point to. But overall, this offseason with the additions to the Titans, how did you feel about them?
Well, one of the things is that I was more contingent on the rumor mill. And so before the draft, you had all these different rumors about Derrick Henry is almost out of here. I mean, that he's going to Philly or he's going to Dallas or whatever have not. And I'm like, here we go. And then all of a sudden, you see the day of the draft, he's still there, which is great. So, but then they went and they drafted, I think in the second round, another quarterback out of Kentucky. And so there's like, you say, well, did we just get a guy last year that was higher up? And it's just one of those things where everybody's not going to be a Joe Burrow and come out in first or second year and just lead you to the promised land or whatever have not. But it just sometimes signals that here we go again. Here we go again.
It's not the here we go again, is it?
I mean, my brother, I've been looking at this team. I came down to Nashville in 1999, basically when it was Adelphia Coliseum at that point in time. And that's when the Steve McNairs, Eddie George, the Yancey Thigpens, the Kevin Dysons, I guess you want to call them the glory days, that period. And then there was maybe about 2 or 3 years that they were good after that 99 season, whatnot. Then we had the dark years. We had the dark years for a while. We had a little, nice picks with the Pac-Man Jones and the Vince Youngs and things along those lines. But I mean, again, here we go again. Is this the rebuilding era? Is this the time where we all just going to okay, well, not this year, but maybe another one. So, man, I mean, hey, and then also too, a lot of times we get a lot of the stars that have went on to do well other places, but we get them on the backside of their career. So here we go again.
Yeah. One name that comes to mind when getting stars on the back end of their careers, that would be Randy Moss.
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. And another name that you probably may remember, Carl Pickens. Remember when Carl Pickens came to Cincinnati?
Dude, man. I mean, like I said, that was just, it's like, wow. And it's amazing. And that's the thing, too, because sometimes when you're looking at culture and you're looking at different teams, like some teams are very defensive oriented. Some teams are very run heavy. Some teams are very pass heavy. And so when you look at the Titans or whatnot, especially when you had Aaron McNair, I mean, yeah, they had a nice balanced rushing attack of Eddie George or something like that. But Aaron McNair could, he could throw that ball. Now, it wasn't a pass-happy offense, but he could throw that rock. And so then now it gets to this point where it's like, okay, boom, if we subtract the running game and the dominance of it, can we really throw the ball that well? I don't know. And so I'm just man, just say I'm still a fan. I'm still gonna go to the games. I'm still gonna be in the seats, and I'm just gonna watch. I go to see the Titans, not the other team, and that kind of thing right there.
All right. Now I do have to ask you about a particular gentleman who is playing wide receiver for the Titans. That would be Mr. Traylon Burks. Now a lot of pressure was on him last year because of course he was replacing, or people touted him as replacing AJ Brown. Of course he got injured. The thing with the camp and not being in shape, or asthma, or whatever was going on. That kind of took over a lot of talk about Traylon Burks, but you did miss out. For those that got caught up in that, you did miss out on the spectacular plays he made, spectacular catches, the things that he did, the explosive plays that he made. And to me, there's got to be a little bit more of that, and maybe a little bit more consistency, with him making those plays and him staying on the field. And it looks like this offseason he's kind of made a pivot towards that, staying here, training, coming into camp in better shape. And from all reports, he isn't dropping a pass, or he didn't drop a pass while he was out there. I spoke to Kayla Anderson about him on last week, and he hadn't dropped a pass while she was out there watching it. So, the thing is, it sounds good. He's saying the right things. Are you thinking this is the time he makes that leap to become that guy for the Titans?
I don't know. I mean, I laugh at sometimes when it's training camp or it's OTAs, and you get the different reports about this guy's doing this, and this guy, he looks about 20 pounds heavier, or you got all those things. Wake me up when it's opening day in September and the lights are on and it's time to play for real. That's where, and in all fairness, replacing somebody who was beloved and had a very successful time while they were here in Tennessee is difficult for anybody. It's one of those following. It's like, I'm not following that act, but I mean, that's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. I mean, he has to step into that role. And so now it's just about producing. We want to see you produce when the lights are on. We're not trying to hear anything. I mean, hey, look, you made a good pass. I mean, made a good catch. I need you to make a couple more of them. We need you to be that driving force that gets us to the place that we want to get to. And if that's not happening, then because I mean, it's a business. It's about producing. And I mean, believe it or not, Mike, it's funny because being younger, you don't understand that, of the necessity of it or what it actually means. But as you get older, as you begin to get into maybe a supervisory role or management role, or you're owning certain things, and it's like, look, who are the pieces that I need that are going to help me be proficient and effective in whatever industry I'm in? And if that piece isn't doing what I needed to do, God bless you, but I need something else.
I hear you there. Now, one last thing I want to touch on, and this is going to be the one. It's on somebody you actually mentioned previously. That would be Derrick Henry. Okay. Now, he's going into the last year of his deal. Him and Ryan Tannehill, I believe. Yeah. Going into the last year of their deal. Do you think this is the last year that we see both of them in two-tone blue?
I believe so. I definitely believe so, especially where the league is moving, or it's been moving for a long period of time. And also, too, you don't draft two quarterbacks very high in succeeding drafts if you already don't see the writing on the wall to some extent. So I believe that, either one of them could be gone. It reminds me of, Mike, you can help me with this. It reminds me when there was a running back played for the Dallas Cowboys. They used to say that, and Dallas, he was in the last year of his contract with Dallas. Maybe happened maybe 5-10 years ago. He was in the last year of his contract. Basically, Jerry, they said, rolled him into the ground, and he went to, I think, Philadelphia afterwards.
D'Amico, is it Murray? His last name was Murray.
Yeah. DeMarco Murray.
DeMarco Murray, yes.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray. And so that right there showed me this, like, okay, yes, this pretty much is they've got you where they want you. But as far as us re-upping with you for a significant long-term deal, role or whatnot, that probably ain't happening. And so I think that, yeah, that stuff. I mean, we've seen we saw Eddie, Eddie Jordan a long time ago, where they let him go after. I mean, has had some success, had some great runs, but there was a shelf life on what they were trying to accomplish at that point in time. And so I think that's just for many running backs that's in the league now.
Yeah, definitely. I remember seeing Eddie in the Dallas Cowboy uniform, and I thought it was some Twilight Zone episode I was watching.
I mean, shoot, him. I'll give you a name, man. That's blast out of the blue. Todd Gurley.
Right.
At one point, Todd Gurley was actively jumping over people. Now Todd Gurley isn't doing too much of that at all. He's just pretty much he's gone. And so that's what I'm saying, man. It's just there's a shelf life on that activity. So I don't really expect both of them, if both of them or any of them, really to be back next year or whatnot. So.
Okay. All right. Of course, we did have to talk about the Titans, football, fatherhood, the 2 Fs. But we are going to talk about For the Fathers. We're gonna dive into what that is, how it came about, all those different things. But we're going to do that right after this commercial break. You're watching Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
You ever missed your mom's home-cooked meals? Well, you're not always able to get to those, but you are able to get to H&T's Home Cooking. Established in 2005, Patty Palin and her staff go out 6 days a week to create some of the best homestyle meals you can taste and at a fair price. So if you're in Nashville and you like chicken and dressing, some green beans, macaroni and cheese, and other things, stop by H&T's Home Cooking. Their address is 2264 Murfreesboro Pike, Nashville, Tennessee 37217, and they are open Monday through Thursday and Sunday 11 to 6:30, and Friday 11 to 7. And if you want to order online, of course, the option is available as well at hthomecooking.com, or you can call 615-367-0049. H&T's Home Cooking, food for your soul.
All right, and we are back. And of course, we can't leave this show without talking about For the Fathers, man. I mean, I want to, applaud you for being a part of putting this together for Father's Day weekend. I mean, it's a great thing, but of course, I don't want to steal your thunder. I want to just let you, talk about For the Fathers and how it kind of came about, how the kind of the brainchild of this, the brainstorming, how it just the vision came to you.
Well, it's just not me personally. It's me, my business partner, Dr. Omika McNeil, as well as my other co-founder of this, Ty Gerf of Ollie Life. And so one of the things that we looked at was that we wanted to do something for fathers, because for mothers, there's a lot of things that are going on. There's Mother's Day brunches. There's all these different little hubbubs, and, there's a lot of this celebration, adulation. But what I found that, especially in our climate today, and I'm not into getting into the gender wars or whatnot, I'm just looking to say that, hey, look, we see the fathers that are doing, that are important, that are representing for their families, that are sacrificing, that, are working those 2 or 3 jobs, to keep that bread on the table. And we want to support them. We see those guys who are not fathers per se, but are being a father figure to other young brothers in the community. And we wanted to award them. We wanted to celebrate them. We want to have a celebration of us, because one of the things is that sometimes you can't wait for other people to give you your flowers. You have to be the one to go and do that yourself for your community, for your culture. So in an effort to be intentional to do such, we just said, hey, look, let's put together a weekend, whether it's, with a meet and greet, where there's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament with different age brackets, as well as an award show. And we're going to have some great guests. We're going to have some great sports figures that come through. And I mean, I'm just excited about it, because it's like it's almost here. And this will not be the last one. I mean, this is something that we're looking to put on annually, because we have to be more intentional about, showing our fellas, our guys in a positive light, because the media does other things with that, and that's not the case.
All right. So, you kind of got into it, but what are you kind of hoping to accomplish with the 3-day weekend?
One, connection. Definitely connecting different men. I mean, your network is your net worth. So being able to connect other men with key other individuals within the community or whatnot, also for inspiration, that shows that, hey, look, man, there's somebody who has had challenges, troubles in their own life, but they have worked themselves up to a place where they're able to do some things remarkable. It's just about dropping those different little seeds out there, and we're better to do it within a focused area where guys are able to relate with other brothers. I mean, we talk about the barbershop so much, and it's great because it gives guys. It's funny because sometimes women say, "Well, guys don't talk. Well, guys don't communicate." Like, you ever been in a barbershop on Friday evening or Saturday morning? That's all we do in there. It's just talk. We're just not talking to you, and that's for a reason. But as I digress.
Oh man.
As I digress, I chose violence on that one. But my point being is that we definitely need to be in a space where we are celebrating and we have different models within the community, within our culture, that shows that, hey, look, you can do something positive. You can do something positive. And that's how we get some of these things changed. That's how we get some of our young people to not be so sedity and acting crazy and being so disrespectful or whatnot. That's where we can kind of bring the culture into another form of frame. But until we as the leadership get our stuff together, it won't be so. So we have to become to have these type of conversations. I call them manversations. We have to be able to have these discussions within the community and keep key individuals to say, okay, where are the blanks? What do we need to do? What is something we can do today? Strategize, plan, then take form.
There we go. Now I want to give you the floor to kind of tell everyone where they can actually get tickets. Now this is in the Nashville area. Doesn't mean you don't have to. You can drive in. You can fly in. You can do all those different things. Just gonna give you the floor to kind of tell everyone where they can go, all those different things.
So I butchered this, man, last week, man. I'm gonna do a better time. Website. WeForTheFathers.com. That is WeForTheFathers.com. You can go and you can purchase your ticket for the whole weekend. Guess what? If you want a vendor, you're looking to advertise or looking for some type of show demonstration at the event, man, go to that website, WeForTheFathers.com. Man, it's simple, it's easy, man. We are putting people on like left and right. But the latest thing is, if you are an individual to say, hey, look, man, I can't be there, but I just want to send a donation or whatnot because maybe somebody else in there, WeForTheFathers.com. Or send me an email at james@justjamesbush.com. That is james@justjamesbush.com. I definitely like to chop it up with it. I appreciate your donation as well, too.
Now, if you're watching, look below. You'll see WeForTheFathers.com scrolling on the bottom of the screen. So,
awesome.
Going to kind of keep that going for the rest of the show. Albeit, we do have a little bit left of the show, but hey,
cool.
I want to keep it going so that way
Appreciate
everyone can see that. WeForTheFathers.com. Go ahead and donate, get your tickets, send your father, send your uncle, send your cousin that's raising his kids, send everybody out there.
Everybody.
WeTheFathers.com.
That's right.
All right. Now, of course, we have kind of ended most of the show, but the show isn't over. We have a game.
Oh, gosh.
5 questions. 2 answers and 1 choice.
Well, now I'm on the other side of this. Okay.
Are you ready?
Man, now I know how the other folk be feeling. All right, cool. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, I got some famous TV dads. I'm gonna ask you to pick between a couple of these. Now, the first one: Carl Winslow from Family Matters or Philip Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Which father are you taking?
I'm taking Philip Banks, Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil. All right. I started to say Carl there, was because Carl had some speeches and man, he done messed around. You remember one time that he helped Eddie that one time because of the two dudes
He
were
helped.
saying anything to him.
Man, he helped Eddie. He helped Urkel. He helped, man. I mean, he did a lot. He did something for Judy while Judy was on the show, and then all of a sudden she disappeared magically. So I mean, so yeah. But man, I gotta go with, man, Judge Philip Banks. I mean, you saw, man, how he was able to take in Will. Well, we're gonna talk about the old school Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We ain't gonna talk about the new one. But I mean, it's like, oh man, he done a lot for Will and for Carlton and his family. I mean, didn't get caught up in any type of fuss, especially like in the position that he was or anything like that too. So I mean, you gotta take your hats off to him. So
there you go. Now the next one I got this ought to be interesting. Your answer on this one. Julius Rock from Everybody Hates Chris or James Evans Sr. from Good Times.
Wow. Give me the criteria. What criteria? Who am I picking? Who I like more?
Which dad are you taking if you got to pick one dad to take?
I'm gonna take James Evans.
Okay. All right.
James Evans. I like Julius though, because Julius went through a lot though now, but I like James Evans.
Man, Julius will maximize the dollar, won't he?
He'll maximize the dollar, and also too, when there's a toxic situation in the household, he knows how to deal with it.
Here we go. All right, I'm going to ask you to pick between two Titans greats at running back. You need them for one game. Are you taking Chris Johnson or are you taking Eddie George?
How many y'all? I mean, I need them for a whole game.
For one game.
One game
that you gotta win. Go to the playoffs type win. Or you go to the Super Bowl, whichever you choose. But one game you need to win.
Hey, look, y'all. The next thing my mind goes is I want to ask Mike, who's the quarterback? Who's the lineman? Who's the offensive lineman? Are we talking about Bruce Matthews? Are we talking about
right?
Who's the fullback that's blocking in front of him? Is it Lindale or is it? I mean,
we're giving him Lorenzo Neal. We're giving him Lorenzo Neal. How about that? We'll give him Lorenzo Neal. Both of them have Lorenzo Neal.
I'm taking Eddie. I'm taking Eddie George.
Okay. All right.
Durability. The durability. I mean, he didn't have all those attempts for nothing. And so, I mean, even though it kind of wore out in the end, but the fact is that I'm taking Eddie. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, this one ought to be interesting, this answer. Which one was worse for the Titans, in your opinion?
Okay.
Vic Beasley Jr. or Jadeveon Clowney? Now, just to give you a little background, they did play both the same season for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
And both of them combined for as many sacks as me and you had in that same season.
I'm going to say Clowney.
Okay.
I'm going to say Clowney. I expected so much more out of him. I mean, it's one thing is if we go back to that game, that South Carolina State game, I guess where they played the Michigan Wolverine.
He knocked the Michigan, South Carolina versus Michigan, yes.
And he knocked the helmet off or whatnot. I was like, whoo! I mean, it's one of those things where you like, let's tank to get him. So okay, boom, we actually got the guy. So I mean, it didn't work. I say it didn't work out.
Gotcha.
It didn't work out.
Yeah. The funny part about that, well, I wouldn't say funny in terms of him losing his job, but Vic Beasley Jr. after the Cincinnati game, they literally cut that man right then and there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, now I got another one for you.
Okay,
this one ought to be interesting. If you had to choose to cheer for one team, one game, are you cheering for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Are you cheering for the Indianapolis Colts?
Let's see.
Now, neither one of them are necessarily teams that the Titans fans love. So,
You know what though? Jacksonville had a Cinderella story last year though, because not a lot was expected out of them, and my girlfriend, she said she calls the quarterback Sunshine from basically off of remake to
From,
Remember the Titans.
Yeah, Remember the Titans. Yeah,
Remember the Titans. She calls him Sunshine. So I think I'm rocking with the Jacksonville Jaguars. One game, you know.
Okay.
One game.
All right. Yeah, Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I will tell you this though. I will tell you who reminds me of Rev, and you're probably gonna be like, "What?" Bryce Young from Alabama. He reminds me of Rev.
Yeah. Okay.
I tell people that all the time, and they're like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Yes. Look at him. He looks like Rev. He looks just like him."
I didn't even think of that until you said that. Okay. Yeah.
Well, man, that is 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. You're off the hot seat. That is the end of the show. But, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. I'm going to give you the floor to tell everyone where they can find you, what other information you want to give to the people. The floor is yours.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank Mike for inviting me on the show. I mean, it wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. But if you're looking for just information about We For The Fathers, weforthefathers.com. It's scrolling at the bottom, or you can look at me. I'm James Bush. I'm a licensed professional counselor in multiple states. I work with relate to athletes as well too, and we do a lot of things with student athletes as well. So relate to athletes.com. That's another website you can go, or you can just find me at justjamesbush.com, or you can just go to my website, justjamesbush.com. Appreciate you guys, man, tuning in. I look forward to seeing y'all.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at MikePatton82. That's MikePatton 82 on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at the_general_MP. That's THA, not THE, _general_MP. And also you can find Touring the AFC South on YouTube. Hey, see you there. Okay. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. You name it, we're there. But while you're there, go ahead, subscribe, share, and comment as well. I greatly appreciate everyone tuning in and watching. And we have reached the end of the show on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.